You honestly think you're a good enough player to have earned the right to play a custom shop Gibson Les Paul? You're a metal player that only plays high gain for the most part, but you think that you have the right to own a Bogner Ecstasy? You can barely even handle 6 strings. What makes you think that you need 7 or more? These are all statements made by what we like to call gatekeepers. And here's why they suck. Alright guys, hope you're doing great out there today. If this is your first time here at my channel, my name is Kyle. What I typically do is I take all sorts of awesome, high gain related guitar equipment, record it with a simple setup, and I give you the unprocessed audio, but kind of felt like we needed to have a little bit of a talk today. This is a subject that has been on my mind for pretty much the entire time I've been a guitarist, but has also come up quite a bit recently due to my channel having become successful, gaining a little bit of popularity, and also just the amount of time that I spend in guitar-related forums, guitar-related Facebook groups. Almost my entire existence revolves around talking about guitar gear. And one of the common themes that I see when people talk about guitar gear is there seems to be this subset of people that feel that they are among the elite. They have all the nicest gear. They are really good players. And because of that, they kind of tend to feel like they're in some sort of a club that they actually hold the key to get into. This is what we call gatekeeping, and there's gatekeeping in every community. It definitely is something that kind of comes along with being really into a certain hobby, or basically having a passion or interest of any type that goes below the surface level. And honestly, it's something that makes my skin crawl. Now, believe it or not, I started out just like everybody else. I started out with a crappy guitar and a crappy amp and no pedals, and I spent my formative years playing on those crappy pieces of gear. I had a Squier Fat Strat, and I had this Rogue 30 watt 1x10 inch amplifier. Maybe it was 20 watt, I don't know, whatever it was terrible. And every year when I was younger, my parents had a $350 budget for Christmas, so I basically needed an amp and a guitar that fit within that $350 budget. So those are the two things that I was able to afford. Fast forward 1 year, that next Christmas budget, I allotted that to a Crate GTX 212 combo of some sort. It's the one that I put very early in my channel as revisiting my first like real amplifier, because I don't even count that Rogue amp. And honestly, those are the pieces of gear that I owned for almost 10 years. Like I started playing guitar in, I believe, 2003, and I didn't really get into collecting my own guitar gear until early 2011. 8 years I spent, and those were the only pieces of gear I owned, and you know, I was content with those. Of course, I always wanted nicer stuff, especially being a kid kind of growing up in the lower middle class. My parents didn't really have money for nice guitars and nice amps and stuff, so the stuff that I got for Christmas, that was all I was gonna get. I didn't really get things throughout the year. And when I was younger, I lived out in the middle of nowhere, so there was really no way for me to earn money until I got my driver's license at 16. And even then, pretty much all my money went to being able to drive, so nobody tells you that when you're a kid. But yeah, around 2011, I've told this story before, I started getting into guitar gear after my band went on a couple of tours and I got tired of borrowing other people's stuff. So I finally started to set aside some money to pick up my own guitar gear, and that is kind of where this whole obsession began. Once I started trying different things and realizing I liked different things, I started tone chasing because I wanted my tone to be unique. And now here we are, you know, 10, 12 years later with a YouTube channel, and this is what I do for a living. So along that journey, I remember reading in forums, a lot of people would basically look down on other people for their gear. Like Peavey was one of those brands where no matter what, if it was a Peavey, it was junk. There's a saying in the Peavey Cult Facebook group, all Peavey $100. Because for the longest time, Peavey gear was basically worthless. And then only recently have people really found out how good some of those old amplifiers are, like the old Ultra Series amps and the old VTM amps. But the dudes who could afford like Bogners and Friedmans and Suhr, or even just vintage Marshalls, all used to just relentlessly shit on Peavey gear and people who played Peavey gear. Those people were basically the poors, and I was one of those people. And then you move to the guitar subset of people who are obsessed with guitars and don't really care about amps, and then you have people who are into Gibson Les Pauls, and when you look at things like Epiphone or the real budget brands like Agile, which is what I got really into when I first started playing guitar. Oftentimes, those brands were just completely dunked on a daily basis on those internet forums, and then later on, once Facebook groups became a thing, if you joined a Gibson Les Paul Facebook group because you had a Les Paul Studio Faded, everybody in there has like crazy Murphy Labs and custom shop reissues and stuff like that. They will even give you a hard time for having a lower end Gibson. So anyways, all that to tell you, I have kind of been on both sides of that discussion where I was a younger kid, didn't have much money. I basically wanted the absolute most bang for my buck, so I would go out and buy stuff like Agile and PV on the used market and basically be able to put together a whole sick rig for like $700 all in. But I've also been fortunate enough in life and hardworking enough, I would like to make a point of that. Nothing was handed to me. I've earned everything that I've gotten. A lot of people like to call me a rich boy in the comments because I have this crazy amp collection, but that was very well and very hard earned on my part. But I've gotten to the other side of that discussion where I'm able to buy custom shop Gibson reissues and top level heritage guitars and top of the line Friedman flagship amps, Bogner flagship amps, stuff like that. And as someone who can afford all that stuff, is it better? Yeah, but marginally? Yeah. Even though I can afford that top level type of gear, I'm still a massive fan and massively in support of stretching your dollar as far as it can possibly go. I have people reach out to me on a daily basis asking me about certain amplifiers, and typically what it comes down to is I say go with the one that you think sounds good, that costs the least amount of money, that accomplishes what you need it to accomplish.
The message will say, hey Kyle, should I get a used 6505 Plus for 600 bucks, or should I save and hold out for a brand new 6505 II 1992 original?
Every single time I'm gonna recommend to that person to buy that cheaper used piece of gear because it's going to essentially accomplish what you need it to, and it's going to cost you much, much less in the process. I've even had people ask me, should I get an EVH amp or should I get a Friedman amp? And while I love the Friedman stuff and it sounds incredible, if they're struggling with the price of the Friedman amp, struggling to justify it, I'll straight up say, hey man, like nobody needs that gear. Like these pieces of higher end gear are luxury items. I view them as luxury items, and a lot of other people do because that's what they are. Like nobody needs to have a $6,000 Murphy reissue and a $4,300 Friedman amp just to feel like they should be satisfied with their tone. I was satisfied with my tone when I had a $400 used LTD EC1000 and a $400 PV5150 and a $250 used Blue Voodoo vintage 30 loaded crate cabinet. Of course, those prices are all, you know, a little bit dated because things have gone insane over the past couple of years, but you understand what I'm saying. Like I never felt like I needed to go get this expensive gear because it was gonna make me sound better, because it was gonna make me a better player, because we all know that's not the case. I still suck. But for me, getting deep into the hobby, it was all about the chase. It was all about experiencing new things and seeing what was out there and just feeling like I had a grasp on, you know, what every amp brand sounded like, what every guitar brand felt like and sounded like. And to me, that was all just part of the fun of the chase. But the reason that I'm telling you all this is I've recently just noticed how toxic most people in the guitar community are. Like on a daily basis, I see people giving other people a hard time for their gear, not having nice and expensive gear, not being super knowledgeable about things because apparently everybody should know as much as you do about things, or even just having a different opinion. And of course, that stuff's always been there. Those people have always been around, but I've just really, maybe I'm just noticing it more because I'm just getting increasingly just frustrated and over those types of conversations. It seems like every time I see posts in certain Facebook gear groups, it's very gatekeepery, or it's somebody asking an honest question and somebody giving them just a really dick-headed answer for no reason. And within even the last few days, I've had people telling me that I shouldn't be playing a certain type of guitar because I'm not good enough on a cheaper guitar or on a guitar with less strings because I was playing a 7-string. Or it doesn't matter what amp I play through because for the type of music that I play, a 5-watt transistor amp is good enough. Now, only some of these comments have been directed at me, but most of the comments that I see that are getting under my skin a little bit are people just ripping into people who are asking genuine questions, trying to learn, or people who are proud of their lower end gear because it makes them happy. They think that it sounds good. And guess what? They have every right to feel that way, and other people have no right to shit on them for that. So the whole reason that I'm making this video is I just feel like with everything going on in the world right now, it's kind of a scary time. There's a lot of negativity out there, and it just seems to be kind of like ramping up even when it comes to like day-to-day things that we're supposed to be enjoying. So when even somebody like Glenn Fricker, hi Glenn, removes his butthurt of the week segment of his viewers comment videos because he feels like there's too much negativity in the world, I really can't help but feel like things are coming to a head, and that anything that I can do to either reduce the negativity or leave a more positive mark, whether it be through my videos, whether it be through my social media profiles or what have you, I'm definitely gonna do that, because for me, guitar playing is an incredibly fun hobby. It's something I'm really passionate about, and I'm passionate about it because I like connecting with people over it. It's not about me having the best gear and having to show it off to people. It's not about me thinking that I have the best tone and I have to prove that to everybody. It's about me experiencing things and being excited about them and sharing them with other people. Much like that person who in the Facebook group just got a crate Blue Voodoo and an old PV Triple X cabinet, and they think that it sounds incredible, and they think that it sounds so good that they're excited to share it with the world, and then they go out and share it and people just rip them relentlessly because it's not a $3,000 amp and a $1,500 cabinet. No, man, if you're excited about it, share it. And if there are people who are giving you negativity, if there are people who are trying to tear you down because you didn't spend enough money on your rig, or because you bought a nice rig and people don't feel like you've earned the right to own that rig because you're not a monster player or something, don't even give them the middle finger. Just move on. Don't give them the time of day. Don't respond, because in most cases, those people are miserable with something in their own lives, and they are lashing out, trying to gain some sort of satisfaction out of tearing you down to make themselves feel bigger. The less that you respond to that, the less that they're going to try and do it, because they're going to realize that nobody's paying attention to them. And hopefully that will give them some time to reflect on what it is that they're unhappy with and why they're being such an asshole to everybody else, and hopefully maybe correct that behavior. I know that's wishful thinking, very idealistic, but one can hope. And honestly, I've engaged with this my fair share. I share comments that I think are funny on my Facebook account and on my Instagram and stuff, where people just leave these ridiculous comments, and I kind of just troll them a little bit and share them so everybody has a laugh. I have always felt that that's been a positive thing, but a lot of people have taken it differently, and honestly, I've kind of just stopped doing that. And I don't know if I'll do it again in the future, even though most of the people who view those comments view them as me just kind of having fun with somebody, and it's not personal. I'm not trying to lash out at anyone. I'm just making light of a situation that I think is funny. But even then, it breeds negativity, and I see that. So like, I want to reduce that as much as possible. I just want to be a positive influence on this guitar community and on the experience of playing and collecting gear. That's all I've ever really wanted. So I just wanted to make this video to discuss it a little bit, and you know, see how you guys are feeling, because I've actually left a couple of those Facebook groups that I've been in for years and years over all this negativity that I'm talking about right now. I just got fed up with it, and it's something that I don't want to see. Like, I don't even want to read these stupid comments as I'm scrolling through Facebook. I just want it to be gone, and that's kind of a bummer to me, because I've always really enjoyed being an active part of the guitar community. But when it's becoming increasingly hostile just to share your opinions, I'm just gonna mute that stuff. And honestly, the same goes for the comments on these videos. Like, I never delete negative comments or remove people from my channel, but I'm probably gonna start doing that here pretty soon, because this is for fun. Like, even though this is my job now, I still enjoy it. It's still fun. I still want the community around this channel to be a positive community, and I just want people to have a good experience when they come to this channel to learn about gear or to watch the content that I put up, hoping to help people. So with all that being said, what do you guys think? Are you guys experiencing the same thing that I am? Are you guys kind of getting fed up with all the negativity that you're seeing on the Facebook groups and forums, or even in the YouTube comments? Because the YouTube comments seem to be the cesspool of humanity. Let me know down below in the comments, and I hope that this video helps somebody. If you're one of the negative people, hopefully this opens your eyes to the impact that you have on other people's experience, and maybe stop being such a dickhead. Or on the other side, maybe you're somebody who takes it personally when these negative people chime in when you're excited about something, and it's hard for you to shake that feeling. Hopefully this just allows you to realize, like, their opinions don't matter. If you're excited, you're excited. If you think something's good, it is good, and nobody has to earn the right to have a certain piece of guitar gear. This is all fun. This is why we do it. This is why we watch videos. This is why we interact with each other, sharing the experience and sharing a hobby that we love. So I want to hear from you guys down in the comments. That's it for me. There's no sponsor or anything today. I hope that you guys honestly have a great week, and thank you for joining me for this video and listening to me. Kyle here again. We'll see you next time. You know what this wall is missing? Another amp. There we go.